this is Bob Andelman, and you're listening to and hopefully watching the Mr. Media interview with Jackson Galaxy, rock guitarist, cat behaviorist, and star of the new Animal Planet series, My Cat from Hell. You love that title?
I like the way you relish it in your mouth, being the cat hater that you are. Yeah.
Well, do you find, are there literally cat people and dog people, and never the twain shall meet?
Only until I get a hold of them. And then and I only say that because I believe that if you're an anything person, then you're an animal person and I have my in.
Hmm.
And I think they serve, it's like chocolate covered pretzels, you know what I mean? You want a little bit of both.
Got it. Got it. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the situations that you encounter on the three episodes of the show that we'll see.
Well, I mean, honestly, I really was surprised at the level of cat from hellness that I encountered. Even, excuse me, even when we were in the preliminary stages of just, meeting these guys. So we dealt with a lot of, obviously, you deal with a lot of aggression, whether that's defensive aggression, cats who wind up cornering themselves because of fear, and then when you try to reach out, they attack you, or yeah, paws and claws and teeth, yeah, copious amounts of all, and or it could be more of an offensive aggression where you walk into the house just because you're there, they don't like it.
Hmm.
So we dealt with some of all of that. Um, we dealt with cats that didn't get along with other cats. We dealt with one case that I was really in love with was a cat who was adopted by a really great family, but they weren't prepared for how wild she was, meaning that she was mostly feral,
Hmm.
and they were trying to incorporate her with their other cats, and that was a disaster, as you can imagine. And we had, I think, in the show you're going to wind up seeing what nine, no, 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 nine cases, and they all had their real intricacies to them, and they were all serious challenges for me.
Is there a thread that you've seen in your years of doing this, that it doesn't bring all the cases together, but or are there similar multiple threads of things that you see over and over again that people are doing wrong that would
Oh,
help?
absolutely. I mean, I think that the thing about cats is, this is just in a nutshell, the reason why I think people love dogs so much is that dogs are a lot easier to read. We've bred them over, hundreds of thousands of years with us to act like us a little bit.
Mm.
And cats, we don't have that thread with. We They were along for the ride for most of their coevolution with us. They had one purpose, which was to kill things so that we could eat our food in peace. Only in the last 150 years or so have we brought them into our homes. They weren't just outdoors, they were indoors as
Oh,
well.
I didn't
So
know that.
we misunderstand them completely. And because we misunderstand them, we read the wrong intentions onto what they're doing, and B, we get angry at them because we've misread their intentions. And we get angry because they're inscrutable to us a lot of times. So that's my main purpose. My main purpose is for you to see the world, from the cat's eye view. And once you do that, we can work. Anything can be done at that point because you have a basic understanding of their needs and how they're not being met.
Mm. Have you had, and not necessarily for the show, because I know the show is in the early stages here, but do you frequently or ever meet people who just should not own cats, and then do you ever have to tell them, you know what, I don't think this is ever going to work for you?
Yeah, I mean, there've been a few times. I mean, look, I've had quite a while doing this now, and out of that whole time, there's only been two times that I've called the cops in the middle of a consultation, and that was to say, and it was animal control. It wasn't the
Oh.
police, and it was to say, listen, you should not have animals, period. Dogs, cats, whatever. You don't have a basic uh, fostering personality. These guys are suffering under your care. I can't leave here like that. There's no way. I'm going to walk out of this house with the cats in this condition. So that's happened twice. Um, Less severe on the DEFCON meter there. There's many times where it's just, hey, look, this was a great idea before I had three children.
Mm.
Um, or I travel way too much. I mean, animals need companionship. The idea that cats are aloof is one of the first myths I try to break. And, without companionship, they're just as lost as any other living being.
The emphasis, and now I haven't seen a full episode yet, but the emphasis in the trailers seems to be on cats that are a little scary to be around. I mean, well, hence my cat from hell. But
Yeah,
cats that and they're hiding and they want to
yeah.
they want to. Is that is there more to it than that?
Well, sure. I mean, I think that we tend to, and for the sake of the episodes themselves, this is what we're showing you, uh, that they can be like this, and this is what I deal with. But there are problems that are much more, that are just as complex. They're just not as evident. I mean, I don't think it works on a commercial to say, today on My Cat from Hell, this cat pees outside her box. I mean, it doesn't have
Doesn't
that
quite have
same
the same emotional.
dramatic ring to it. That's equally frustrating to people. Your house smelling like pee, I would say, is more of a reason why people get rid of their cats um, aggression. It's they just it's incredibly frustrating to walk into your home and have it stink, and that's a ledge I have to talk people off of a lot. So, yeah, of course I deal with that. I mean, you have to divide my practice. Litter box and aggression take up a good chunk. So,
What about crazy old cat ladies? We always hear about them.
yeah,
These
yeah.
ladies who've got hundreds of cats running around in their houses. You run across many of those?
I mean, those. Here's the thing about. I mean, I think the crazy old cat lady and the cat hoarder is, in terms of a media perspective now, I think they're starting to merge, and hoarders don't get that they've got a problem, so they don't call me. Their children call me, or their husbands call me, or I've been called in by animal control to assess the situation. So I've worked with a couple of hoarding situations, but they've the guardians themselves don't think they have a problem, and that's how it starts.
Do you have cats at home?
Of course, yeah.
How many cats do you have?
I have four cats and two dogs at home.
Oh,
See, I
and you
told
have
you.
dogs.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
No, no, I'm not. I'm not just talking the talk. I'm telling you, chocolate and peanut butter and pretzels and yeah. No, I love dogs, and dogs give me a completely different energy than cats, and that's why I can't imagine being without either one of them.
if one of your dogs went nuts and you couldn't figure out the problem, would you call Caesar?
I would call somebody. I mean, if I get to a point where, and yes, there's a little bit of. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I go through times of having my little hubris moments where I think that I should be able to fix this.
Hmm.
But when you're too close to read the page, you got to have somebody else come in and read it for you, and that's where you bring in a trusted dog being to translate the dog physicalities that you're not seeing, and how they respond to their environment and to the other animals in the house.
One of your visual props on the show is a guitar case filled with cat toys.
Yeah,
It's sort of like Batman and his utility belt.
yeah.
What kind of cat toys do you never leave home without?
I never leave home without two very distinct things. One would be an interactive toy.
Hmm.
So that's one where I'm on one end of it and the cat's on the other end. gives me two great things. First thing it does is it gives me some distance because if the cat wants to rip my lungs out, Jim, I'm going to want a little bit of how do you do between me and them,
Right.
and but at the same time engage them, see if they're up for having some fun. And then there's also remote toys, which are more of the crinkle balls, the furry mice, things like that, where you can, if you're in trouble, you chuck it, and all of a sudden you redirect that attention onto something else. I'll also travel with laser pens, and that also is a great redirection technique. If they're about to attack another cat, if they're about to attack me or somebody else in the house, then I just redirect them onto something that is the quote appropriate victim as opposed to me, which is the inappropriate victim. But those are the three components of toys that I'm never without.
You are seen in the trailer as playing guitar.
Yeah.
What kind of what kind of music do you play, and how often are you playing these days?
I play my own songs for the most part. I've been performing literally in clubs since I was 12 years old. And that's been my main through line in my life, way before animals were. Um, I've actually taken a bit of a break. I lived in Boulder, Colorado for about 15 years and broke up the band when I moved out here to LA and actually haven't really started up again. I mean, I'm just getting some nibbles here and there to play some shows and to do a little more recording and whatever. It was a really hard decision, but one of those unfortunate circumstances where your dad was right, and he said, you know, my dad was like, "You're going to have to make a choice between these two things," and I said, "No, I can do both successfully, but you can't. You really to work with animals, to do anything well, you got to give it 100%, and I have full confidence that I've guitar playing and singing and writing are things that are actually part of my cellular makeup at this point. And whenever I decide to break it out, I'll break it out.
Very good. And we were talking a minute ago about toys and that kind of thing. Will there be Jackson Galaxy, My Cat from Hell toys and
Yeah,
uh,
well, yeah.
all that kind of scratching posts?
Of course, I think there should be. I mean, I think the one thing that I bring to the table is that in terms of product development, I mean, listen, this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, that there are things that are just not out there
Mhm.
and that cats need. And I would very much like to bring it to them. And oh yeah, no, you can bet that I'll try as much as I can to bring the right kinds of interactive environments to cats.
And last question before we have to go. So the show debuts May 7th, Saturday, as a three-part miniseries. Do we know
Hmm.
yet if there will be more episodes after this?
We don't. Yeah, we don't. We got to just sort of trust the universe at this point that there's going to be three shows, and we'll see how the cat-loving world takes to us, and then we'll see what happens.
Very good. Well, folks, listen, you can watch cat behaviorist and sometime guitarist Jackson Galaxy in the three-episode Animal Planet miniseries, My Cat from Hell, beginning Saturday, May 7th at 9 p.m. I know you've got a website, jacksongalaxy.com. Can people
Yeah.
find you on Twitter or Facebook, anywhere else?
You can find me Twitter, Jackson Galaxy. You can find me Facebook, Jackson Galaxy Cat Behaviorist. We will have coming this week. My Cat from Hell will also have a Facebook page as well, and you'll find all kinds of great stuff on there.
Very cool. Well, Jackson Galaxy, thank you so much for joining us on Mr. Media today.
Thank you so much for having me, Bob.
My pleasure. And folks, for more original interviews with America's top, well, I don't know, animal behaviorists, surf over to our main website, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. If you've enjoyed today's show, you can subscribe for free to Mr. Media via email, RSS, or iTunes, and you'll never miss a show.